as we get ready for our winter storm. Hopefully you guys are starting to get the snow buzz, getting the excitement going. We are less than 24 hours out till the beginning of at least starting to see some of that snow. I think we'll see the better snow really start to fill in as we go through the day tomorrow. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about. We kind of tweaked some of our totals here in just a little bit, and so I'll be giving you some of the latest information on that as well. Let me get to our number here because we want you to text in our questions. And so here we go, snow questions for you. You can text us here. Let me go full screen for you. And 336-379-5775. Again, that is 336-379-5775. Please include your name so we can say hi and greet you, and then your location as well. So for me, if you say your city, please grant me the grace of also including your county, because I'm still learning some of the city names here, especially maybe some of the smaller cities, smaller towns across the area. Still learning our local geography, so grant me some grace there. But nonetheless, there's your snow questions, 336-379-5775. Viewers are standing by, ready to receive your call right now. It'll actually go here to me, and I'll be able to read some of these comments here. All right, so yes, we are still talking about the snow and then the cold. It's kind of a two-pronged storm here. We've got the snow coming in, and then we've got the cold coming in on the backside. So snow likely through our Saturday. Low wind chills will be possible through the entire event. I do want to make that a stressed point, is it'll be dangerously cold tomorrow afternoon. We could have wind chills in the single digits. And so really, when it's that cold outside, prolonged exposure to skin, now we start running into frostbite, hypothermia, things like that if we don't take the proper precautions. I do that not to scare you, but I want your kids to have a good time, but also be safe. I want you to have a good time. I want you to be safe. And so cover up all that exposed skin. We need the scarf tomorrow. That is a must. A baklava is like one of those masks that you can get. You can put that on as well. That'll help protect your skin from some of that cold wind and the air outside as well. Maybe wear 2 layers of gloves, have the thick winter boots on, something that's maybe more waterproof, especially as you're getting out and playing in the snow. Snow pants, so maybe put a layer of jeans on underneath and then put your snow pants on over that. You really want to layer up. Layering is the key to staying nice and warm during the event as well. And so those are just a couple of those things. You want to avoid snowy travel, right? Unless it's absolutely necessary, and that would be emergency is what I would say. If it's an emergency and you can't avoid it, then you can get on the road. Just be cautious. Give yourself a lot of extra time because snowy conditions are not going to be that great. Hi there, Jerry. When is the snow going to hit King, North Carolina? We'll get to your questions in just a bit, but thanks for chiming with your question. You want to stay warm. Again, you want to bundle up. That's really the big thing here. And it's already cold outside. I mean, we're talking temperatures in the upper 20s across much of the Piedmont Triad. Temperatures in the 30s, but notice it feels like the mid-20s, like the lower 20s. So it's definitely going to be a colder one there as well. Hi, Kelsey. I'll get to your question here in just a moment. But you can see Futurecast showing our area of low pressure, right? We've got an area of low pressure upstairs in the atmosphere. That's going to kick off some of those snow showers for our friends to the west. And then as it continues to transition east, it's going to develop a surface low. And that area of the surface low is really what's going to really crank up the snow for us as we go through our Saturday. So notice here at 9:30, we're starting to see some of those bands break out to our west here. We're going to have to watch out for where these dry slots start to work their way in. And that's just something that's in the genetic makeup of this area of low pressure, is when you get these dry slots to work their way in. And so we have to watch where it sets up because that'll cut off your snow significantly. And then we're going to deal with the cold. It is going to be brutally cold into Sunday morning, and then into Monday it's going to be cold, and that's going to linger. And so that's kind of the danger with this. I guess I still had it selected, so it kept moving on there for me. But the wind's going to be something we're going to have to watch out for as well, especially as we go through the day tomorrow. So this is Saturday morning at, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Okay, most of us are not going to be up at that time. Our morning crew will be up. They'll be, getting ready to get things on air for you. We have crews out all weekend. We're going to continue to keep you updated through this entire storm as we weather it together, right? We have to weather the weather. Gotta love the English language when you have words that sound alike and different meanings, right? So we're talking about gusts into the 20-mile-an-hour range through about 11 o'clock, and temperatures are already going to be in the teens. You know what that means? Yeah, it's going to feel like the single digits out there. It could be below zero at some points in some cases. National Weather Service giving us gusts up to 35 miles an hour possible through the event, our Saturday, and into our Sunday, maybe getting even some of those stronger wind gusts coming down as we start to push in. Remember, to bring in a new air mass, we have to push that air in, and so the wind increases because we're changing air masses, and so it's going to be colder. Let's look at the feels like. Probably don't want to, but we got to because this is important. We need to stay warm. We need to stay safe as we're going out and having fun in the snow. It's going to be single digits. It's going to be cold. If you don't want it to be cold, we need the cold for the snow, but we don't want to be in the cold. But if you're going to be out in the cold, you definitely have to plan for it. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a cold one here as we go through our Saturday. And then look at, the mountains, 24 below zero, 17 below zero, 15 below zero. No, thank you. By the way, by the time we get into our Sunday morning kind of early, let me show you some of those wind chills that it was showing earlier as we go into our Sunday morning. There you go, folks. Below freezing in some places across the Triad. Very much a possibility, especially into the very, very early hours of our Sunday. This is like 8 o'clock in the morning. It could be below zero. And that's dangerous cold. So really Saturday night into Sunday, we have the extreme cold watch. Most likely will become an extreme cold warning. Tonight we actually have the extreme or the cold weather advisory because we're going to see those wind chills get close to zero. Let's see if I think I saved that one for you all. Let's see. I think I put it in a different hit, so I'll show that to you all. So there's your extreme cold watch. That means it could feel as cold as 5 below zero. We see that in the model data, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. It's going to be very cold for us, and I want to show you here. We'll go 36 hours. There you go. So this is actually for tonight. The cold weather advisory runs in through tomorrow for the very, very cold temperatures. And then the brunt of the cold is going to be Saturday night into Sunday morning. And that's when we start to see those extreme cold watches probably become extreme cold warnings, or we're going to see just dangerously cold conditions for a prolonged period of time. So again, that runs 1 a.m. Saturday through 1 a.m. Sunday. The cold weather advisory, and the cold weather advisory is for 0 to 9 degrees above, and then the extreme cold watch, that'll be for conditions of about 5 below zero. Burr. That's all I have to say about that. Winter storm warning in effect for the entire state of North Carolina, and so we definitely will be dealing with the pink map, right? The pink is back. Winter storm warning. For the entire state of North Carolina, even this time the coast. And actually the coast could get some pretty crazy snowfall and even some stronger winds there. They'll be borderline close to blizzard conditions at the beach. It's not enough to have sand blowing around. Now you're going to be blowing snow around with that as well. So that is not a fun beach week for us. Let's break down the timing here for you. Again, things I think start to kick off as we go into early tomorrow morning, maybe more towards the later morning hours versus the early morning hours, is a lot of that snow will kind of dissipate, or sublimate is the official term, turning from solid to gas. And so basically think of it like evaporation, but for a snowflake. And so that dry air will eat away a lot of our snow early on, and then it'll start to fall as we start to reach saturation. During the daytime on our Saturday, we are looking at snow kind of on and off, gusts up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. That is significant. That will blow around higher profile vehicles, SUVs, trucks. Watch out for all that because you get blown around on the road. So this is another reason why we want to discourage travel for everybody really through the day on Saturday night. Snow's ending, but the roads are going to be snow covered. You got to give our crews a chance to get out, plow the snow, and stay off the roads unless it's an absolute emergency. Sunday, important to note, Sunday is our cleanup day. You want to remove as much snow as possible because we're going to have that cold coming in Sunday night into Monday and really into the first part of next week. And we get that melting, refreezing. It'll change from your fluffy, fun snow to ice if you don't clear it. So clear it Sunday. Make plans. Do this. Help yourself out. Keep yourself safe from some of that black ice that we've been just absolutely plagued with this week. It has not been a fun time outside. All right, you want to know our latest snow totals, and we want to show them to you, so let's get to that. There is our snow projections. We're looking at about 3 to 6. Now, that remains largely unchanged from what we had yesterday. We made a few tweaks as far as placement. You can see the 3 to 6 has come a little further north. So it's really right along the state line. You're not going to get into the party this time. You still might see maybe 1 to 3, but you're going to have to deal with the drier air. You see the dry slot there across north of the triangle. So if you live in the triangle and you're wanting a good, decent snow, you want to be south of that, maybe towards Wake County, southern Wake County, or most of Wake County to get into some of those better snow totals. Dry slots, again, I'm going to have to watch out for those because that's just the characteristics of an area of low pressure. You get the colder, drier air on the north end of the low pressure system that gets sucked into the system, and it cuts off snow totals, as well as we'll have to see how much dry air limits this system as well. Dry air can also help because what you do is you end up dropping temperature even more, but that's not going to be a problem for us. It's going to be well below freezing. It's going to be cold. It's going to be light, fluffy snow because of the snowfall ratio, which I did a weather IQ on it if you want to learn about what snowfall ratios are. But basically, the colder you are, the higher your snowfall ratio. And so that means snow water liquid equivalent is higher. So think of it this way. A tenth of an inch of measurable rain, like water, right? If we were to do a 10 to 1 snow ratio, that would give you about an inch of snow. Now, we're talking snowfall ratios potentially closer to 15 to 1, 16 to 1, 17 to 1, 18 to 1. So that means it's higher. So a quarter, let's say an inch, to make it easy, the math easier, an inch of that water equivalent could produce over 10 inches of snow. Now, we're not going to have that much water equivalent. We will have something closer to maybe half an inch. And so we're not talking, that would be closer to the amount of 5 inches, but that's if it all falls and doesn't get eaten by some of the drier air, which is still a concern. So dry air is a concern, dry slots are a concern. Heavy banding will be something to watch out for. Some places may get higher amounts if those bands set up in those locations. So that's something that we'll just have to watch for. And again, we'll have to watch that dry slot very closely because it'll rob a lot of people's fun. So just kind of the bare bones of it. Significant snow still expected on our Saturday. Those are kind of your timing. We want people in place by midnight tonight, okay? The snow looks like it's going to start later, so we're going to extend your time of curfew to midnight. After that, you need to be home. You need to be ready, prepared, have everything you need for this snowstorm. Several inches of dry, fluffy snow looking likely. Travel is going to be difficult, and if you do not clear on Sunday, it'll be near impossible as we go into next week because some of you are still dealing with snow-covered streets, sidewalks. Guess what? That ice, if you didn't clean it up already, we're running out of time to get rid of it because we're going to put more snow on top of that. And then we'll go into the melting, refreezing next week, and that's going to become a huge issue for travel. And it's going to be really, really hard to get around as well. Here's kind of the threat timing for you. We're looking at snow again starting sometime early Saturday morning, really starting to pick up intensity as we go through the afternoon into the evening, tapering off by the evening hours. Wind will start to pick up through the event as well. That's thanks to our area of low pressure. We've got big pressure changes, big temperature changes, and when you have big temperature changes and pressure changes, guess what you get? Strong winds. So that's something to keep in mind, that maybe you're maintaining the slow speeds or traction on the roads. Well, now you're going to have 30-mile-an-hour winds buffeting you and pushing your car, which could start fishtailing and all sorts of horrible things. Stay off the roads. Stay off the roads on Saturday. Power outages, it's low. It's possible that somebody, could hit a power pole and take out power that way, but we're not talking about an ice storm this time. Thankfully, so thankful that we're not talking about an ice storm. All right, now many of you want to see it played out. So here's some of the timing here, and then we'll get to some of your questions. I promise I haven't forgotten about that. So we kind of have this east-west frontal boundary oriented across the area today. If I can show you that. Do you see basically from north of Knoxville to Boone, dealing with some of the snowfall there. And so we'll have to watch that closely, especially if you're traveling from, say, Tennessee over into North Carolina or going vice versa. They're going to get the snow first. You can start to see the pivot. So this is that upper level low providing lift over them along with that kind of boundary. So you see the boundary there. So here's the upper level low working through tonight. They could get a decent amount of snow. I think my folks are still looking at a good amount of snow tonight as well. But notice as we go into the morning hours, as far as the tendrils of snow kind of creeping into the Triad, we're talking early in the morning. I think it really starts to fill in earnest, though, as we go towards the afternoon. So if you're absolutely an emergency, I don't know how many things will actually be open because things are going to be people will be preparing for the winter storm. But nonetheless, kind of watch out for some of the snow as well to start to pick up in earnest as we go through the afternoon. Now, how quickly does that dry air work in? If it's slower than this, then we'll have higher snowfall totals. If it works in as quickly as this is showing, keep your expectations lower. Now, interestingly enough, Charlotte may end up with more snow than us from this event. That's just kind of interesting how it works out. And even the beaches could see more snow than us. Look at this can be absolutely crazy. You will want to watch the Highway 12 cam. We'll be pulling that up throughout our newscast and checking in on the Outer Banks because this is going to be crazy. They're going to be in the middle of a blizzard and a snowstorm. If you have property there, they're going to get up.
We are just hours away from another winter storm, with this one expected to impact all of the North Carolinas. Right now, Governor Stein is giving us an update. Let's listen in.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today as we share updates on another winter storm coming to North Carolina. Groundhog Day is just around the corner, and it's starting to feel a bit like Groundhog Week here in North Carolina since we were just up here last Wednesday. I'm joined by Director of Emergency Management, Will Ray, Secretary of Transportation, Daniel Johnson, Secretary of Public Safety, Jeff Smythe, Major General Todd Hunt of the North Carolina National Guard, and the Commander of the State Highway Patrol, Colonel Freddie Johnson. Jackie Matevier and Yasmin Polizzi are our Spanish language interpreters. Our American Sign Language interpreter is Mark Lindberg, and the other is Stephen Holland. If you were disappointed by how few snowflakes fell this past weekend, I have some good news for you. And if you're tired of winter weather, some bad news. This is going to be with us a little bit longer. Starting overnight and continuing through Sunday morning, we expect snowfall across most of the state. However, we don't anticipate ice storms that created the risk of widespread power outages last weekend. But still, we must be prepared. The snow is going to come with strong winds and bitterly cold temperatures. In many places, we don't expect to get above freezing until early next week. So whatever snow falls on Saturday is going to stick around for a while. In coastal North Carolina, especially the Outer Banks, strong tides and high winds could also cause flooding. Strong winds combined with snow can create whiteout conditions, making driving treacherous. We are prepared to respond to whatever the storm may bring. Yesterday, I declared a state of emergency across North Carolina. This will help us qualify for any federal assistance we may need. We've activated the State Emergency Response Team, a cross-agency group that includes the Department of Transportation, Department of Public Safety, North Carolina National Guard, State Highway Patrol, and our state's utilities. NCDOT crews have been working in shifts around the clock on de-icing operations to clear the roadways from what's left from the past weekend storm and anti-icing operations to prepare for the roads for the coming weather. I had the privilege of seeing a number of these workers yesterday at the NCDOT Westgate facility, also known as Brine Mountain, to thank them in person. These folks have been working 90, 100-hour weeks to keep us safe. We all owe them and the many other public servants putting in overtime on our behalf a debt of genuine gratitude. Some of our local government partners are starting to open warming centers, so check your local government management agency's website to see what options are available near you. At this time, because of expected snow accumulation, cold temperatures, and wind gusts, our greatest concern is unsafe travel. So please take a second look at your weekend plans. Stay home and off the roads during winter weather. And if you live in coastal North Carolina, be alert for flooding that the strong winds will likely bring. Do not drive through flood waters. For the most up-to-date roadway information, visit drivenc.gov. And no matter where you live, make sure you're tuned in to your local media, the National Weather Service, and your local emergency management agency for the latest updates and recommendations. Today is the day to get prepared. Make sure you got non-perishable food, plenty of water, and batteries and other supplies in case you get stuck at home or lose power. And please check on your neighbors who may be vulnerable. Let's stick together, keep each other safe, and hope for a fun snow day here in North Carolina, something that we don't get all that often. Thank you, and I'm now going to bring forward Director Ray and then Secretary Johnson.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everyone. A significant weather storm is forecast to begin this afternoon across the mountains, expanding east throughout the evening and overnight periods. Widespread snowfall is forecast with this event, and locally significant snowfall amounts are expected. In addition to snowfall, dangerously cold temperatures and strong wind gusts are forecast through the weekend. These strong wind gusts will bring below zero wind chills across the state and the possibility of coastal flooding. Cold temperatures will linger into early next week, prolonging snowfall impacts. A winter storm warning will go into effect statewide late this afternoon across the mountains and Piedmont, and overnight Friday into Saturday across the coastal plain. Widespread snowfall amounts between 3 to 8 inches are forecast across the state, especially across the coastal plain where the greatest snowfall amounts are most likely. Significant snowfall amounts of 8 to 12 inches are likely across portions of the state, but are dependent on where the heaviest snowfall bands develop. A cold weather advisory will go into effect overnight Friday through overnight Saturday across the eastern half of the state, where near zero wind chills are forecast. An extreme cold watch will go into effect for portions of the mountains from Saturday afternoon until Sunday afternoon, in the Piedmont from Saturday evening through Sunday morning, and in the coastal plain from late Saturday night through Monday morning. Wind chills are forecast to be as low as 22 degrees below zero across the mountains, 5 to 10 degrees below zero for the Piedmont, and 5 degrees below zero for the coastal plain. A high wind warning and wind advisory will be in effect Saturday afternoon and evening across much of the coast. Wind gusts within the high wind warning area are forecast to be up to 55 to 70 miles per hour, and wind gusts within the wind advisory area are forecast to be up to 45 miles per hour. All North Carolinians should be finalizing plans now and should be prepared to stay home and off the roadways starting tonight through early next week. If you need information to assist in your preparation, please visit readync.gov. The State Emergency Response Team, including all interagency partners, private sector, nonprofit, and volunteer agencies, remain activated. There are 4 local states of emergencies and 21 local emergency operations centers activated or in monitoring status. We continue to support commodity distribution, and as of this morning, the State Emergency Response Team has distributed approximately 550 blankets to assist communities with shelter and warming center operations should they be required. This is in addition to the approximately 1,700 cots and blankets and 127 pallets of meals ready to eat, or MREs, and drinking water that were shipped last weekend to supplement local supply. Many communities across the state are opening or staging for shelter locations or warming stations. For the most up-to-date information on those resources available in your community, please visit your local government and local emergency management agency's website and social media accounts. The North Carolina National Guard, the entirety of the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, The North Carolina Forest Service and the Office of Emergency Medical Services, among others, are all active and moving on to station today across the state to assist local communities and state partners with clearing roadways, responding to emergencies, and with transportation needs. 73 North Carolina National Guard force packages will be on station by tonight and will be assisting with clearing roadways from downed trees, helping disabled motorists, supplementing first responders, and assisting with commodity distribution. These force packages include approximately 341 soldiers and 131 vehicles. While this is not forecast to be an ice event like last weekend, posing a widespread threat to our utility partners, we remain in close coordination with our energy sector organizations who are represented here at the State Emergency Operations Center, and will be closely monitoring power outage information to quickly assist in restoring power in communities that do see outages. Communications personnel and equipment have been pre-deployed to assist with any degradation of 911 systems, radio systems, and phone systems. And as a reminder, 911 should be used for emergencies only. For general information, please call 211 or follow your local government and emergency management websites and social media accounts. Finally, as I continue to say, please check on your friends, your family members, your neighbors, or those in your community who may need additional support this weekend. We are going to see significant winter storm impacts this weekend, and we are stronger and more resilient together. Thank you, Governor, and I'll now turn it over to Secretary Johnson from NCDOT.
Thank you, Governor and Director Ray. NCDOT crews have been operating in overdrive since we started preparing for last week's storm, and we're not letting our foot off the gas. Though we are still clearing areas of the state that have experienced particularly cold temperatures and hardened ice on the roads since last weekend's storm, our resources we've largely shifted our resources to preparing for the ice storm the snowstorm approaching this weekend. We're closely watching this storm. The latest forecast shows that this storm will have statewide impacts on the transportation system and carries the potential for severe impacts on a significant portion of that system. As we did last week, we're encouraging people to stay off the roads as much as possible the next few days. We appreciate everyone's cooperation in limiting travel over the past week. Because North Carolinians heeded the warnings last weekend, we had 0 traffic fatalities related to the storm, and for that, we are very grateful. By staying off the roads, you help keep yourself and your family safe and give our crews the space they need to do their important work. Speaking of that work, I want to take a moment to recognize the thousands of DOT employees and contractors who have put in a major effort over the last 10 days. I'm thankful for all of their work and for all the work they'll do over the next several days to help us recover. Over the past 36 hours or so, these crews have put out an additional 1.4 million gallons of brine to pre-treat our roads, which will help keep more ice from forming on the pavement. Once it's safe to do so, our crews will be running plows to remove snow from the roads and to spread sand and salt to help with traction. Rest assured, we'll be working hard to clear the roads as quickly as possible. We ask for your patience as we work through the recovery, especially with more cold temperatures to come in the days ahead. As I mentioned, this storm will impact the entire state, but one area we're watching particularly closely is the Outer Banks and other areas along the coast. As Director Ray and the Governor have shared, in addition to the snow, this storm brings the potential for high winds across the state, and in particular along the coast. One thing we're watching closely is the potential for overwash, particularly in the Outer Banks. This could present dangerous and potentially impassable conditions for driving along the coast. Our crews are ready to respond and will restore the roadway as quickly as possible. And as we did last week, we're working with the State Highway Patrol to remove disabled vehicles from the roadway. This helps keep the roads and shoulders safe for our crews and others involved in emergency response in the days ahead. We'll continue working with our partners, the Highway Patrol and the National Guard, throughout the storm. Please stay informed and, if possible, stay put throughout the duration of this storm until it's deemed safe to travel. People can visit drivenc.gov to view the latest road conditions and other storm-related information. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to the Governor for any questions.
Secretary, thank you so much. If there are any questions in the room, please go to the microphones on either side, and then we will go to questions online afterward.
Hey, Adam Wagner from WNC. One of the concerns with overwash, obviously some of the houses on the Outer Banks that are sort of teetering right now? I know that folks in Buxton, maybe Rodanthe, have been asking you for a localized state of emergency for a little while. Mm-hmm. Could this necessitate that, and sort of how could this weather make cleaning up those houses more difficult if they fall in?
Yeah, the statewide emergency applies to the entirety of the state, including the Outer Banks and Buxton. Unfortunately, the declaration doesn't trigger any special assistance that's really relevant to them. What it does is enable us to move resources to help respond to emergencies. There is legislation in Congress sponsored by Congressman Murphy, which both Commissioner of Insurance Mike Causey and I have supported and have written to Congress in that support, which would enable the flood program, the National Flood Insurance Program, to actually buy out homes before they tumble into the ocean. Then it creates an environmental mess, much smarter for us to try to remove those homes that are at risk of falling into the ocean before it does so.
And then yesterday you heard from workers who worked last week 99 hours, 101 hours. Do you have any estimates on the total cost of last week's storm to the state? Any kind of predictions for what this one could cost?
I don't have a total cost. I don't know, Will, if you do. I think it's too early at this point. Clearly, DOT has experienced a great deal of overtime. State Highway Patrol has incurred a great deal of overtime. The National Guard incurs expenses every time it gets deployed. And so, yes, there are real costs to the state. We have an emergency fund that the General Assembly appropriates money into that we can draw down for these kinds of operations, but there is a cost, and as it becomes clear, we're happy to share it with you.
Hi, Governor. Christine Zhu with NC Newsline. What preparations are being made in regards to the power grid and any potential outages?
We are in constant contact with our energy partners, whether that's Duke Energy, the electric co-ops, the electricities, and they're here. We know where their greatest worries are. Fortunately, with this storm, that is less of a concern than last week, because last week's was an ice storm. This is a snowstorm. Ice is much heavier than snow, so it's more likely to create limb breakages or trees toppling over. It's more likely to weight the lines and break those. So with snow, we don't think there will be as many power outages. And fortunately, we didn't experience too many last year. I think the peak was maybe 25,000 loss of power at any one time. So that's not to say that there will not be power outages. If the snowfall comes in at the high end and communities experience 15 inches of snow, that's a lot of weight, and that will knock over trees, and that will knock over power lines. It's just they call this a banded storm, where the snow is going to come in bands. It's not going to be uniform across an entire county. You may have one town in the county that has 12, 15 inches if it's heavy, and another may have 6 or 7 or 8. And so it will be localized. I know that our utility partners are ready to go.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take questions online if there are any. Please identify yourself before you ask a question.
Raise your hand function and they'll see you.
Felicia Somez, please ask your question.
Hi, well, thank you so much again for taking our questions. Just wondering for listeners out here in the West, if there's anything in particular that folks should be aware of, or any particular precautions that they should take ahead of this storm. Thank you so much.
Yes, the snow intensity, it's going to be significant, but not as much as the Far East, which is a little bit upside down from what we're used to. Where we will see real issues in Far West is temperatures. The temperature is going to be bitterly cold. Wind chill, maybe minus 20 degrees. Obviously, the risks of frostbite and hypothermia become very elevated when you have temperatures that low. So folks just need to not be outside if they possibly can. And if they are outside, make sure that you are well dressed, wearing lots of leathers and covering all exposed skin. If you have to drive and there is snow, make sure that you have a safety package in the car with you, because if you run off the road in temperatures like that, it can be very dangerous. Question?
There are no more questions online.
Very good. Thank you all very much.
Josh Stein, he was going over some really important things that he wants North Carolinians to know. Now, he did mention that we can expect to see a heavy snowfall all across North Carolina. This is starting overnight and going into Sunday morning. He said we can expect to see strong winds, also getting bitterly cold temperatures. And our friends that are over in the banks, he also talked about there being strong tides, and there's also a concern about flooding in that area. He also talked about activating state emergency response teams. That means our transportation team is being activated. North Carolina, also our highway patrol and things of that nature. Also doing some anti-icing operations. That also has been activated. He also thanked our Department of Transportation workers, saying that they've been working around the clock between 90 to 100 hours just over this past week. As we know, we just had that winter storm. He also talked about making sure that North Carolinians are prepared. You want to make sure that you have non-perishable food. Also, you have plenty of water. That also applies if you have pets and things of that nature, making sure you have the proper medication just in case you lose electricity. He did also talk about here in the Piedmont, we should see about snowfall that could go between 3 to 8 inches. Right now, that's still to be determined on what band we get, but that's what we could at least prepare for. And he also talked about making sure that you're dressing properly because of the high winds that could be coming in our area. And with those being freezing winds, just how those temperatures. So we said to make sure that we're not exposing any type of skin. You want to make sure that you're wearing layers if you need to be outside, or just make sure that you stay inside. That's what we have right now. We're going to be continuing on. Make sure you guys join us for noon coming up. We're going to go right back to our programming.